him yesterday afternoon.
Yes, I did visit Madiba yesterday afternoon, and I could see when I was entering the house that the atmosphere was very different. But I satisfied myself that Madiba was in his last hour.
Did he look very different from how you had seen him the last time you saw him?
Oh, yeah, big time. Yes, he was looking very different.
And how did the family receive the news?
Well, it depends. The family, as you know, has been close to Madiba almost every day since he was admitted to hospital. They have been monitoring him for quite some time. But as you know, any family where you are saying, guys, accept it now, it will always not be easy for them to accept that suggestion. Yes, the family is strong at the time I left.
Now, General, you've spent a lot of time with Madiba. In fact, he regarded you, he made no secret of that, as his son. Take us back to the very first day you met him.
It was in 1990 when I visited him in his house at Soweto. When I arrived there, he was told that I was waiting outside. Then he came out wearing his white T-shirt and opened his arms and say, welcome, and thank you for what you have done, for the struggle. We have been monitoring what you have been doing in the Transkei. And immediately I was on duty, because when he came in and said, look, General, the one thing we're not going to tolerate to do is to ask Pretoria to provide security for Madiba. Therefore, you have to do something, because the members of Mkondo Sizwe at that stage were still outside the country. So the following day, in the afternoon, then I called General Matanzima to arrange members of our special forces to provide close security for Madiba. No. We did that until the MK commanders came
back in the country. For those who may have forgotten or who may not know, what was your role in the defense force of the former Transkei at the time?
No, as the head of Transkei government. So you remember that we toppled a particular government at that stage. So I was Makulubas.
So you provided the security for... Now, during the time you were providing security to him and to other ANC leaders, what did you notice about them?
About the?
About Nelson Mandela and other ANC leaders you came to meet at the time, whom you were providing security for.
Oh, well, Madiba and the rest of the leaders like that Walter Sisulu, Womkov, and many others, when you sit down with them or you are briefing them, you feel this aura around you, that you are really briefing the elders, and they are keen to learn. And the line of questioning which came from them, also you had to know your story. But we worked very well with Madiba, and we proceeded to the talks. That's where I also noticed that he was a very tough negotiator, because Cyril Ramaphosa and Vali Musa would come back from the talks and brief us about what de Klerk is offering. And if I raise some question and then Chris Hani and Jay Naidu raise some concerns, Madiba would say, well, Comrade Cyril, I think given that these three comrades are also confused, take this matter back. So he was that kind of a person. But what I also noticed is that he liked to deal directly with a decision maker on the other side. Madiba didn't like this business of going through a middle
intermediaries.
person. Yes. I noticed this in 1992. He said I must accompany him to UN to ask UN to send monitors to come and monitor violence in South Africa. This particular afternoon, I arrived, this morning I arrived in his office. 8 o'clock I was there, and then 8:30, he asked Barbara Masekela, his assistant there. He said, Barbara, can you put me through to President Bush? And I said, hey, he's got that power. And then Barbara came in and opened the door with her hands in her hips. Madiba, don't you know that Bush is asleep? It's 8:30 now. Then Madiba says, okay, darling, when he is up, I want to speak to him. Indeed, the call came around 4 o'clock, and he, in his instructive way, told Bush that U.S. has to endorse the OAU resolution, which sought to ask UN Security Council to deploy violence monitors. And then he continued, because he's got a good sense of humor. He said, Bantu, let's try this trick now. Is John Major asleep as well? And then he put a person intercom and says, Barbara,
can you get hold of it?
Is John Major also asleep? So we phoned them, all of them, in that morning. Then the following day, that same evening, we went to US. And when I saw these other homeland leaders, Qozo and others, accompanying Pig Porter, I said to them, why are you here? They said, no, we're here to stop this nonsense of yours and Mandela that you want monitors. I said, decision has already been taken, boy.
Little did they know.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to continue, General, with this conversation. For now, though, we're going to go to Ayanda.
Well, Vuyo, as you and